Hi everyone, welcome to part 2 of the React app of the Todo app with ReactJS. And in this episode, so we are going to simply work on updating a given to-do item. We're also going to work on setting to-do items to completed, and lastly, we are going to simply work on filtering this to-do based on their status. If it's completed, once we filter them, we're only going to have the completed to-dos. If it's active, we're going to simply have only the active to-dos instead. So let's implement that on what we have here. Currently, we can only add to-do items and we can only delete to-do items. So we want to simply be able to update, then set these to-dos as completed and also filter this item. So we're going to complete that in part 2 of the series. So let's dive in and get started right now. Okay, so now I've got my Modal container, I've got the components. So I'll go down to my to-do list, to this list component, and I'll simply paste the Modal just under our to-do list instead, just under it. So let's do that right away. Okay, so paste. So here's our Modal. Okay, once we do this now, we need to make sure we enclose this in a fragment. So okay, so just paste it here. Okay, perfect. So I think it should work. Everything is fine now. So what I want to do now, we are not done. This is our Modal. Let me just draw a comment there. Modal container. Okay, so what I want to do now is we check our browser, check the browser. You can see we are seeing the Modal popping up, but we don't want this to happen. We don't want this now. What are we going to do? Okay, so you can see the Modal is already showing on the screen. So we're going to simply declare a state. So I was looking now up here. So I will declare a state just right now. Let me just say const toggle. Let's just say let toggle. So it should be. So I'm going to set toggle to false. I will say set toggle. Okay. And then say use states. So set use state to false, right? So now once we've done this, is there any problem? I can see my code is not looking perfect. I think I've made a mistake. Okay, it's fine now. Just scroll down so we have the Modal, and I'll simply enclose this Modal. Okay, what I'm going to do now, I will simply enclose this Modal in double braces, in curly braces, and then just here, I'll just set toggle and also this, put in the AND keyword. So currently our toggle is simply false. Since it is false, we're not going to see the Modal on the screen again. Okay, let's see. Oh, everything has disappeared. What happened? Okay, currently you can see our page is empty. We can't see anything. I think I found what the problem is. I think we failed to import use state. Right, so just come over here, put in the comma, and then we'll say use state. Okay, let's see if it works. Okay, it's fine now. So our Modal has disappeared. So what I want to do now is this. Now I want to make sure that whenever we click on this pen icon, our Modal pops up. So let's work on that now. Okay, so just come over here. Let's add an on-click event to this. Okay, on click. Okay, so we're not done. So I'm going to declare a function up here, and I'll call that function, say const, say toggle Modal. Okay, so am I done? So to this function now, I'll simply set toggle to true. I'll say set toggle equal to true. Sorry, not this true. Sorry, like this. I don't know what I'm. So true. Okay, so this is it now. The browser. Click on this. Oh, so there's a problem somewhere. It says line 34. So the browser, let's see. Okay, we need to pass in this function, this toggle Modal, to this our on click handler here. So call it toggle Modal. Okay, let's see what's the problem. Why this red line? Okay, so to the browser now, click on this. Okay, perfect. So we need to also add an on-click event to this cancel button. So whenever we click on this button, the modal is turned off. So just come over here. So here's the cancel button at the bottom of the page. So just here, come over here and just add an on-click event. So on-click should be equal to. So let me just say set toggle to false. Set toggle to false. So let's say cancel. Okay, this. Click on this. What's happening? Just give me some time. Everything should be fine. So click. Ouch! It's not working. Okay, let's see what the problem is. Sorry, my mistake. So we need to pass this as an arrow function. That was my mistake there. So everything should work now. So there is it now. So perfect. That was my mistake. To the browser, click, perfect, cancel, click, cancel, click, cancel. So right now we declare the function above. So this function is called toggle modal. With this function we're able to like set our toggle to true. So once it's set to true, we can see the pop-up. So with this cancel, we have to set the toggle to false. Once toggle is set to false, the modal disappears. So now what's the next step? The next step is this. So whenever you click on this pen icon, we want to see this text occupying this field. If you click on read a self-help book, we want to see read a self-help book and this input field. So how do you go about that? So this is how we do it. So I'm going to create another state here. I'm going to call this state. I'll select. Okay, I'll select to do item, to do underscore item, and then it could be go to do item like this, and then I'll say set to do item, and I'll set this to an empty string. So I'll say use state, and I'll set this to an empty string. So what I want to do now is this. So whenever I toggle any of this, you understand, I want to simply set this task. I want to simply update this to do item to be the current value of the to-dos I clicked on. So this is how we're going. So this is what I'm talking about here. So in this toggle modal function, I'll just come over here and update to do item. I'll say set to do item, set to do item, and I'll set it to I could just say task, or I could just say item. So this item now, I'll pass this item as a parameter over here. So right now this function is being called just here. It's called over here toggle modal. So what I need now is this. I simply need the argument, the value for that parameter I declared update. I need the argument for this parameter I declared up here, this item. So I'll come down here. So just come over here, toggle modal. So the argument should simply be to do dot task. Understand? To do dot task. Remember this to do, then dot task. So that should be it. So once I've done that, no, I'm not done yet. I said I want to make sure that whatever we have here is what we pass to the modal field, right? So I'll come to the modal section, just scroll down. This is our modal section over here, and we have an input field here, and I'll set the value. Value should be equal to, and I'll set the value to do item up here. Hope you understand what I'm doing. You understand? So just scroll down, set that to do item. So let's see what it looks like. So to do item, please red line leave. So I'm going to explain again very, very fast. What I'm doing is this: I made a new state. So I said I'll set it to an empty string. So what I then did is whenever I click on the pen icon, I want to set this, whichever icon I click, I want to get the tags for that icon and then assign this value to our to-do item. You understand? And after I did that, I then have to set the value attribute of this modal input field to be equal to that to-do item. That's what I did. So to the browser now, refresh this page. Okay, click on this. Perfect. You can see we have learn JavaScript there. If I click on this, you can see it's working. If I click, perfect, it's working, right? Okay, but right now we have a little challenge here. You can see right now I can't even edit this thing. I can't. What am I doing? I think I made a mistake. So okay, click on this. If I come here, I can't even edit this. I can't. Remember, I can't remove this item. So there's a problem now. So what I want to do now, I need to add a change event. I need to add a change listener, a change event listener on this field. So whenever I update this field, I want to also update the to-do item. Remember, this is the to-do item over here. Okay. Remember, our to-do item was set to null, empty string before. Then I have to set the to-do item to our current to-do I clicked on. So what I want to do is that whenever I type on the inside this field, I want to also update this to-do item. I want to also update to-do item we declared up here. So let's go down to this particular field. This input field it is at the bottom of this component. Remember, I want to update this. So go down to the bottom of the field, to the bottom of your component. So we have the field here. This is the field. So I need to also add a placeholder that's necessary. Placeholder, and I'll say that to, let's just say update to do. So next one more thing, I need to add an unchange event. Unchange should be equal to, okay, so I'm going to say unchange should be equal to this. So I'm going to set an arrow function, and now let me just pass in set to do item. So and then I'm going to simply come over here, we're going to pass in the event parameter, which is e, and now let me say to do item should be equal to e.target dot value. So what's the problem? Why are we having this unchange? Okay, so right now we've been able to update we have been able to update the to do item whenever we type into the modal input field again. So that's what we did here. So let's check if it works. To the browser. Okay, so if I come over here and keep typing, you can see now it's accept. You can see I can update this and I can type. Perfect. So our to do item has been updated perfectly. So we can continue. Everything is working fine now. So what do we need? So right now we want to be able to update this to do. So if you click on this, we want to be able to update you. We can simply change the value. But what's left is updating this actual to do item. So let's do that. So let's do that right now. So right now let's work on updating the actual to do. So let's do that right away. So I told you before, for you to update this to do state, you need to go down to your app.jxs component where you declared where the to do was declared initially. So which is over here. Come over here. Okay, so okay, we are there already. So just come over here. Let's just say let's update to do. So we're going to simply say equal to, so passing our arrow functions. Okay, so what I want to do now is I'll simply say let to do equal to, I want to get the current to do we are trying to update. So I'll say to do's, then square bracket ID. So this ID comes from here. So we're going to get the ID from this to do list component. So I'll show you how we're going to get this ID from this component, right? But currently we don't have the ID yet, so let's just keep going. So the ID is going to be a parameter up here. So right now I've gotten the current to do. You understand? So let's continue. So I'm going to simply I will say let's updated to do equal to, so it's going to be an object. Understand? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply destructure the current to do. So what I did is that I simply spread the current to do, not the structure. I simply have to spread the current to do. After I've done this now, remember our to do as the tax attribute. So this tax attribute now is going to be the new value we got from this input field. It's going to be the value we got from this input field after we submitted. So that task, this tax is going to come from the to-do list component. So we're going to pass a new argument. I'm going to pass a new parameter. I'm going to call that new to do or new task. So that's it. So I'm going to pass that here. So I'm going to say task should be equal to new task. So new underscore task. And the status, remember we have the status attributes, remember we have it there. So just go over here and set that to active. It should be a string. Okay, so once we've done this now, we're not done. So we're going to come down here then, and we're going to say set to dos. We're going to say set to dos, and then we're going to simply say to dos.map, to dos.map. So I'm going to simply say to do.map. So I'm going to say, let's just say t. Okay, so I've done that already. So I'll say if, so now if t.id is equal to the current id, I want to simply return the updated to do, which is this. Okay, I'm going to simply return the updated to do. And I want to simply say updated to do, and then else I want to simply return the current to do item we have, which is t. Understand? So that's what we just did there. So you can see we have our new to do item that is coming in that has been updated. So now we have to now look through the to dos and check if the current to do we are working on, if the id is the same thing as the id we passed here. If it is the same thing, that means we want to update that to do, then we have to pass in the updated to do. If the id are not the same, so this should be if id is equal, not just equal. So if the id are not the same, we want to simply return the current to do the way it is. That's just it. So I spelled this wrongly, should be updated. So you need to pass this as a prop to this to do list component. Updated. So I think I'm making a mistake. Updated. Okay, no, updated also. So I need to call this a different thing. Okay, that's correct. Update to do is perfect. So updated. Okay, so now let's pass this as a prop to this component. So come over here and we just say updated to do underscore to do should be equal to the function, which is update, and then say to do. So that's it. So we are almost done. So let's come back to the to do list component, and then once we are there, we're going to receive the prop. So just here again, okay, just here updated. I think what was it called again? I think I call it updated to do. Okay, just come down here, updated underscore to do. Okay, so once we've done this now, just get down to the modal. So on submit now should be equal to, so now we're going to simply pass in the, so I'm going to say updated underscore to do. Remember, I need to pass in the ID of that to do and also the task. So how do you go about that? So now remember, so I'm going to declare a state now. I will say let to do ID, and I'll say set to do ID. And I'll set that to, I might just say 0. Oh, that should just be, okay, you can just set that to an empty string. Let's just say 0. Okay, that's fine. So once we set that to 0, so what I want to do is now, whenever I toggle the modal, I want to simply update to do ID. So I'll say set to do ID. So this to do ID now is going to simply have the value. So I'll pass in over here. I'll just say see on, I will just say to do underscore ID. I could just come here and just say ID, and I'll pass in the ID here. So on this, whenever I toggle this modal, I want to store the ID of each of these to-dos. So what I want to do, so I've already made a variable for that, which is called to-do ID. This to-do ID is going to simply help me hold the current IDs of these to-do items. Hope you understood. So now that's what I've done. So let's go down to this. So this toggle function. So I need to also pass one more item called to-do.id. to-do.id. Okay, I've done that already. So once I've done that, okay, I think we can continue. So remember, we called another function here. This function, this updated to do. So this function also requires how many arguments? Let's check. So it requires two arguments. It requires two arguments. So one of it is the to do ID I just created. One of it is this to do ID I just created up here, and the second one is the to do item. Understand? So that is it. To do item refers to the task that we passed, that we are trying to update up here. Refers to the value in this input field. That's what the to do item refers to. Okay, just come over here. I think I should be correct. To do item and to do ID. Okay, just here I was just passing to do. Then okay, ID, and the last second one is to do item. So that's it. So whenever I submit this function should simply update the given to-do list. So I'm not done yet. So I want to also make sure, whenever we submit this function, I want to also make sure that the modal is toggled off. Remember, you get, so that's the next thing. So now just let me come over here and I'll just come over here and say set toggle to false. So let's see. So click on this. I'll change this to learn Java. So click on add. Perfect. You can see done. Right? If I click this, I'll remove the book and I click on add. Perfect. You can see everything is working. I will click this and change to px4. So click on add. You can see it's working perfectly, right? Okay. Okay, so now we have been able to update a given to-do, you understand? So the next thing now is to mark a to-do as completed. So let's work on that right away. Okay guys, so we're almost done with this tutorial. So right now I want to work on completing a to-do, right? So we click on, if we check this box, I want to simply set this to-do to completed. Check this. I want to set the to-do to completed. So how do you go about this? Go down to your app.js. We are going to simply come over here so you can modify the current to-do. Okay, we have three functions. So we have three functions. We have the delete to do function, we have the add to do, and also the update to do. So lastly, let's create one more function which is called the complete to do. So let's complete to do. Okay, should be equal to an arrow function. So once we've done this, let's continue. Okay, so I'm going to say if e.target checked. So what I'm saying now is I'm checking if the current, what happened? So I was checking for if the current checkbox you get. So I'm currently checking if the current checkbox has been checked, if any of these boxes has been checked. So what I want to do now is this now. So let's continue. So I want to pass in the ID of each of these checkboxes. They all have their individual IDs based on the to-do items they are linking to. In a sense, let me just comment it out again. Okay, Ctrl Z. So if we check, well, each of these lines, this is line 1, line 2, line 3, and line 4, they all have their IDs based on the to-do. So let's continue. So I'm checking if the box has been checked. So I need to get in the ID first, the ID of those checkboxes. Remember, they are all using the to-do item. They're using the to-do. I'm using the ID of the to-dos over here. You understand? So if the box has been checked, so what do we do now? So I'll come over here and say set to-dos. So should update to-do item, set to-dos. So now I'm going to just come over here and say to-dos.map, to-dos.map, and then I'll say to-do. So also continue, I'll then say if to-do dot ID is equal to ID. So then I'm going to simply do this, and I'm going to simply return to-do dot. I'm going to simply spread it to-do, and then I'll set the status to completed, to complete, right? Status to, I think, completed, right? Completed. And else, if the current to-do ID is not equal to the ID I'm sending from the to-do list component, I'm going to simply return this to-do, the current to the old to-do. You understand? The current to-do. Or if the ID is the same thing as what I'm passing from the child component, which is this ID, so I'm simply setting the status of the to-do to completed. So that's what we just did here. I don't know why it's showing this on the line. So completed should be, so I think, okay, I got where the mistake is coming from. Okay, so should we cover this? Should be covered. Okay, I think it's correct now. Okay, we've gotten it already, so I'm going to explain again. I said if the checkbox has been checked, that's what we are checking over here. So I'm going to simply loop through, map through the to-do item and check if the ID of the current to-do is the same thing as the ID I'm going to pass from our child component, and the child component is referring to this to-do list or JXX. So if they're the same thing, I'll simply update the status of that to-do to completed. But if the ID of the to-do is not the same thing as the ID I am passing from the child component, I'll simply return the I will simply return it to-do as it is. I'll return it the way it is. But if the IDs are the same, I'm going to simply update the status of that to-do to completed. So that's just it. So I'm going to put in an else statement. I'm going to simply say else. So if the ID is unchecked, understand, if it is unchecked, so I'll just copy this now, and then I will set it back to active. You understand? So that's just it. Active. Okay, so when we've done this now, we need to pass this as a prop to the child component, which is this to-do list. So I'll just come here and say complete underscore to-do should be equal to complete. Oh, I'm spelling that correctly. Should be equal to complete to-do. Yeah. Okay. So that's it. So I'll go down to my to-do list component and then pass this function, so which is just up here. Okay, so just scroll down, so to where we have the checkbox. Here is it now. So I'll just simply add an unchanged event. Unchange should be equal to, yeah, so that's it. So I'm not done, so just down there I need to add a class to this P. So I'll simply, I'm coming. So I need to add a class to this P. So if the current to-do is completed, we need to simply strike through the to-do, strike through. So I've got a new, so I need to add a class. I'll simply just replace this with this. So what I just did now is this now. So you can see I added a class name. So I said if to-do status is equal to completed, we want to add this class to this P tag. Else we are adding an empty class. So what I did here, we checked if the status of this to-do is completed, we have to add this strike class, or if it is not completed, we just have to just run an empty class there. Hope you understood. So now let's implement now. To the browser, click. Oh, it's not working. So let's check it on, let's see if there's an error. So I just checked, I want to check in my console, oh, I forgot something. I just remembered now. Remember, we need to pass in the ID. We need to pass this ID from our child prop. In instance, so I didn't do that. Come down here, to-do list now. Okay, where are we calling this stuff again? So here is it now. So I'll just come over here, passing the arrow function. So whenever you are passing in an argument, you must always passing the arrow function into your event listener. So just come over here and say to-do .id instance. So that is just it. That is it now. So now we are passing the so this to-do.id you see here is gonna be the value of this ID we have here. Hope you understood. So let's check again. So click. Something is wrong. Hope I'm not mistaken something. So to the to-do list, let's see what could be. Let's see what the problem could be. Complete to do. I think so. Let's put in the E, and then let's see. That should not be the problem. Let's try one more time. Okay, I think I know what the problem is. Remember, from this to-do list, from the app.js, remember we are using this if e.target. We need to also pass this e up here. You understand? It's necessary. You need to pass it up there. It's been passed there, and also in your to-do list, you need to also pass this e the way we did here. This is the default event object. Understand? So whenever you are using this event listeners, you must always pass in the event object. It's not necessary, but whenever you pass it, you must always you just have to do it like this, just the way I did it. So I think it should work now. So let's try again. So refresh the screen, refresh the page. So click. Okay, it works now. It works. It works now. You can see we're able to strike through. You can see it's working perfect. So I'm going to explain this again. So what we did is this. Let me explain just briefly. So to the app.js now. So I checked if the checkbox has been checked. So what I did is I had to map through the to-dos and then check if the current to-do ID is the same thing as the ID I am passing from the child prop, which is the to-do list or JXS. You get? So if the ID are the same thing, I have to simply update the status of that to-do to completed. Else, if they're not the same, I have to return the to-do the way it is. The same thing I did for if the checkbox has been unchecked. That's what the else block does. So if it has been if it is unchecked, I have to check if the current to-do is the same as the ID of the to-do I am currently passing. If they are the same thing, I have to set the status to active. Hope you understood. And in my to-do list, you can see we have this paragraph tag now. So I have to check if the status of to-do is simply completed. We have to add this try class, which enables and that try class I added there is responsible for this strike through you see on this text. Okay, as you're almost done now, I want to work on this filter. So you can filter the to-do based on their status. You can filter based on the active and also on the completed status. So how do we go about this? Go down to your app.js. Okay, just here now, let's add the last function you need to add for this tutorial. So say let's filter to-do equal to, so let's continue. Okay, so we're going to pass in the arrow function. So I'll simply say I'll say set to do's. Now then map through. I'll say to do's dot filter. Now I'll say to do. So if to do dot status, if to do dot status, so to do dot status, if it is equal to, if it is equal to, let's just say text. So we are simply filtering the to-dos based on this text. So we are going to pass this text as a parameter up here. Understand? So I've done this now. What I'm going to have done this now. We're going to get the actual value of text from this filter component. So now let's pass this as a prop to the filter component. This is our first time we are passing a prop. to the filter component. So I'm just come here and say filter underscore to do should be equal to filter to do. Understand? Filter to do. So I've done that already. So once we've done this, so what's the next step? So go down to your, so I'll simply just copy this, go down to your filter to do filter. So pass this as a prop here. Okay, so once we've done this now, just come over here. So we're going to simply add what we call an unchanged event listener. So what we're going to simply do is this. So pass that in, put in our events objects there. So then you call this function filter to do, and then we're going to simply just say event on target dot value. That's going to be the value of what of these texts. Understand? So event on target dot value now. So let's see. So the filter. So you can see we only have. You can see we've gotten the. We just have. So let's just try again. So let's do this again. So filter. I got this too. So if I filter based on completed, we have just the two of them. Hope you can see. We can filter these to dos based on their status. You understand? So what we did here for the filter, what is this? So this e.target.value refers to the value of this field you are working on. This particular input field refers to the value. Understand? So remember we are featuring the to-dos based on their status. So you can see these two to-dos, their status is completed, and we are trying to, and we filter them out based on their status. Remember, so if I refresh this page now, so if I just click and then come here and we got that. So let's go for active. We want to get active, so I need to add one more field here, a blank field, just option. So a blank field there should just be there. Okay, so you can pick completed, it's empty, active. Okay, come back. Let's just say pick these two. So I want to just get the active to dos. You can see the two of them. Hope you understood. So we're able to build a to-do app whereby we could add, update, get, delete, and also mark a to-do as completed. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. It was quite lengthy, so don't worry, I'm going to provide the source code for you guys to use and follow along. So you'll find the source code in this video's description. If you enjoyed this video, please do to subscribe, like the video, and share it with your friends. I'll see you in the next video. So stay blessed and bye bye.